Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's Goat Gaming's very own space, AI and Gaming, unleashing the next gen of AI experience in gaming. Before we kickstart this space, I just wanted to request everyone here in the audience, please, to show us some support, retweet, comment, get the bookmark in as well. This really helps the algorithm just push the space out to as many people as possible. And thank you. So, I wanted to really welcome our amazing guests here today. We have an incredible panel here today to discuss the exciting innovations in AI and gaming. So, I'm going to start off with Neo Tokyo. I'm really incredibly honored to have you here today. I think it's Chronicle here that's joined us from the Community Council. Long time no speak, Chronicle. Just as an introduction, Neo Tokyo is the ultimate community for builders, founders, investors in crypto gaming. Yeah, I'm really excited to get your takes here today, Chronicle. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here and chat AI and gaming, my two favorite topics.
How is your research days in Neo Tokyo or the research team doing in finding gems with AI and gaming? I'm very curious. I haven't been in the Discord in a while.
Yeah, no, have a lot of different arms and services now that not only research the opportunities that are upcoming, but then look for opportunities for investments, for growth, for hiring opportunities in the space. So we really try to maximize that and differentiate between those that are true products that solve a problem versus those that are just riding the meta.
Yeah, that's actually a topic I was going to bring up a little bit later on. That with some of these really exciting metas, as you say, there's so much stuff to wade through. And as an ex researcher from Neo Tokyo, it is quite the challenge to kind of sift through that. But today we've got some really great guests. I wanted to bring on next GameGPT. I'm not sure who the person is that's from GameGPT, but do let us know who it is and welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. GM, everyone. It's Devin from GameGPT. Happy to be here on this panel. I see some familiar faces and some people I've never met before. So, really excited to get into the conversation. As the name implies, we sit on the intersection of AI and gaming as well, GameGPT. So, we have a lot to share, whether it's what we're doing on our own to contribute to the space and help people build games with AI, or all of our partners that we use to integrate into these games that we're building. So really happy to be here and excited for the conversation.
Yeah, welcome. I'm really excited to have you guys on board. You guys have got 5,000 active players and 75,000 registered users and 10,000 games powered by Duel. So, yeah, really excited to hear a little bit more about what you guys are doing and how you found this growth towards all those great numbers. Next, we have Kit Protocol are facilitating the future of AI across all businesses, large and small. They call themselves the Web3 base layer for AI. So, Kit Protocol, welcome. And how are you? And who do we have behind the handle?
Hi, I'm Julian. I'm co-founder of Kip Protocol. So yes, very happy to be here. And a bit of intro. So Kip, what we do is we give AI developers, AI product makers, the tools to deploy and monetize their products in Web3. So we were 2023 winner of the Chainlink Hackathon. We are the official AI partners for Animoca's Open Campus. We'll be launching Open Campus U very soon. Also, we are also doing quite a bit of AI work with other Animoca subsidiaries that will be announced quite soon. And very recently, we announced we will be bringing 3 million users from a leading AI chatbot platform, AI companion platform into Web3. So the reason, I guess, that would be relevant to this particular topic is, in a way, the time that people spend to interact with AI companions, they're in the same mindset as when they're playing games. It's for entertainment, it's for immersion. I think AI is likely to maybe bring about a new forms of entertainment, and can't wait to be part of that and to see and to learn from everyone else on this panel today. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to hear more about AI companions and the decentralized platform that you're bringing. Thank you. So, the next we have the wonderful Virtuals Protocol. Welcome, Virtuals Protocol. Who are we talking here today? And tell us a little bit about the platform.
Hi everyone, Ethan Mitch here, co-founder of Virtuous Protocol. To the GOAT gaming guys, you guys are honestly the GOAT. I just realized that you folks are from the Mighty Bears Heroes companies as well. And I was digging through my blur and I found that I had a dozen of the passes that I believe will be used for the upcoming mint. So quite excited about that. Myself and at Virtuals, we basically are a Web3 protocol that enables the co-creation and the co-ownership of AI gaming agents. So imagine if someone wants to build a John Wick AI agent for games, the way he talks, the way he moves, the way he thinks. And when this agent is co-built by people through this protocol, and when it gets used in, say, a game, revenues from the API would then be shared among all the co-owners and the co-creators. If it's then used in a companion chat, revenues would then also be shared to all the co-owners and co-creators. So that's effectively what we do at Virtual Protocol. So yeah, excited to jam. Let's get to it.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I think that the way that Web3 and AI together will turn the business model of how you can and build at the same time is going to be really revolutionary. But also great to have a fellow Mighty Bear Games community member here. So yeah, welcome and thank you for all your support over the years. Okay, and welcome to Spike, founder of Wayfinders GG, and of course a super famous content creator here in Web3 gaming. How are you, Spike?
Hey, great to be on. Good to see so many old, amazing goat faces and some new ones to join the crew. I'm a proud Mighty Action Hero and Goat Gaming ambassador. I've played a lot of Web3 games. My focus is heavily on education and entertainment. So AI does play a big role in that in Web3 particularly. I've had a chance to play games where they use AI to scale the infrastructure to build out cities and games. I've seen them use it in AI characters that you can interact with, as well as even just designing artwork and experiences. So super excited to learn from all the goated speakers here today and expand my horizon and to share that with my community wayfinders. We're again focused heavily on building content, community, and culture in Web3.
That's super awesome. I mean, you're really carving out a sort of unique niche in the space. How is Wayfinders going? I mean, we've really been on the Goat Gaming side enjoying some of the great content that's coming out of your community. I'd just love to hear a little bit more about what's happening over there.
Yeah, so I do a very good job of as a community builder alongside content. I actually started in the space as a CM for some notable guilds. It's all about aligning incentives. Like the other speaker had mentioned, having it to where people can have shared ownership or revenue streams through the work they put in Web3. It's very important to know that you don't just own your assets, but your time. And the ethos of Web3, we've always, as a community, been focused on how can we align other builders, communities, and creators to grow alongside us in our IP. As a community, we started out as like Spike's gaming community to now Wayfinders, which it's essentially we have all these amazing team members that are hosting events, have these amazing experiences and incentives, and we have all these amazing partners. How can we now use that with these amazing creators and gamers in our community? And how can we empower them to create more experiences to grow the community? So we're like a collective group of people just looking to onboard and to really enhance Web3 gaming as a whole. And we're really focused on doing it more in a live way. We don't have a questing platform. We feel that experiences that a lot of people are seeking in Web3 are going to be more meeting with people and being in the trenches. So again, we're really focused on hosting like live events, doing things like creator bounties to reward our members, hosting tournaments, things of that sort. So again, we're focused heavily on onboarding people and educating them about Web3 gaming.
Awesome, awesome. I think it's super important to keep innovating with how to create community and build community. So yeah, props to you for finding sort of unique ways in which to engage your community. Okay, last but very definitely not least, I want to introduce our very own Ben Chevalier, or also known as Coco Litron, Goat Gaming's Chief AI Officer, who I know is going to bring us a fountain of knowledge today. So how are you, Ben?
I'm good, thanks. It's a nice intro. A fountain of knowledge, I hope. So super happy to be here. I'm one of the co-founders at the studio. Thanks, Coco, for the intro. I've been working in the game industry for 20 years now. More of a technical art director originally, turned so a chief AI officer at the studio, and I essentially lead all the creative tech strategy for the company for Goat Gaming. And should I say a few words about Goat Gaming itself?
Yes, please.
All right. So at high level, Goat Gaming is both an application layer and an infrastructure layer. We essentially, at the highest, at the application layer, we provide games, we onboard third parties as well on the platform, and in terms of infrastructure, we essentially provide proprietary tech for those third parties to accelerate production, accelerate and facilitate scalability of their live ops, and then create just like novel game experiences using all of that using AI, and obviously all of it being powered by Goat.
Awesome. Yes, I think what I've noticed here today is we have a really great panel that have a really wide range of experiences and are looking at AI in very different ways, whether it's like AI agents, whether it's tooling, whether it's at the community level. And so we're going to be talking about a lot of deep stuff in this AMA today, mega space as they call them. But I'm going to start off with a couple of fun questions, a little bit lighthearted. So we all know that the pace of AI moves at lightning speed, and you guys are all AI experts. But I want to know, on an everyday basic level, do you have any AI go-to tools that are just your lifesavers? Because from my perspective, I think I started off with ChatGPT, and then I've almost boomered myself into being stuck on ChatGPT. I've dabbled with Claude. I'm as a marketer, I find that writing is the best way to help me. AI has been leveraged to help me on writing. But I'm curious about you guys. Question is out there for anyone.
I can go. 2 words for productivity, perplexity, because you know what? They actually tell the truth. They actually send you links and quote the actual links of where information is sourced from. For entertainment, I use this companion chat called iKoi.ai, AIKOI. It basically replaces the need for having a girlfriend. So yeah, that's the 2 stuff I use.
Wow, I didn't know that AI had gone just that far. I'm probably taking notes right now. Anybody else want to share some of their go-to AI tools?
Yeah, I can go first. It sounds like a lot of people unmuted, so if someone else would like to go, that's fine. Ben, I don't know if you'd like to go, and then go after.
All right. So thanks. Okay. So mine would be Claude. I switched recently from ChatGPT, and Claude 3.5, so that has been a game changer for me. That's on the like text-based kind of content, and then DALL-E for visuals, because the prompt comprehension is just probably the best. And then Midjourney if I really want something that is like eye candy. So it's like the 3 things that I would use the most right now.
Cool. Yeah, and to slice, I guess I have 2 ways to slice this question in terms of what I use for AI. One is like personal, so that anyone can use, and one is more so like how we're building games with GameGPT. Some interesting things that people may not have thought of. In terms of personal, ChatGPT I use a lot, specifically the mobile app because it's in my phone. It's very convenient, and I really like the conversation feature. I think it's called Sync. So instead of typing out your question, you just click like a headphones button, and you can actually just have a conversation with it. I actually just like to go on really long walks and go into topics that I don't know a lot about. So I've went into history. I've went into like Web3, very specific Web3 phenomenons that I didn't know about, whether it's learning about ZK, whether it's actually learning about like how like casinos work, and really seeing what we can use in the token economics of a certain game that we're building based on learning things about casinos. So that was actually really cool. If anyone, if you can get past like having a conversation with AI and just using it almost as a way to get a crash course in anything, that's one way that's been really cool for me. In terms of like how people are using it in really interesting ways for work, one thing that we've been using a lot, and just to give a brief explanation on what GameGPT is, GameGPT is an AI model that allows anyone to build blockchain-based hyper-casual games. So think all the mobile app and viral mobile apps that you've known and loved, like Fruit Ninja, Angry Birds, Subway Surfer, Temple Run, Snake.io, and all of the like. Those are the games that are narrowly defined, but still pretty awesome AI model are really good at building. We've partnered with a couple of other AI tools that really give more of a aesthetic, immersive, atmospheric edge to the games. One of them is Suno.ai, Suno. They're a pretty awesome company. I think they just raised 125 million a venture round just a couple of weeks ago. And they're really good at generative music. one thing that I thought was really cool on how they trained their model is to get around the copyright problem that ChatGPT and Sam Altman has said he wants to stay away from because there's so many like liability things there. They've trained their model to actually learn the vibe of music or like the general theme of a genre of music versus actually training the model to do very specific artists and to emulate on an artist level. And if you guys want to try it out, it's free. There's a free plan, and you can just make songs that have lyrics. They'll actually do lyrics themselves, and it actually is pretty crazy on what you do. But for us personally, we use the instrumental version because that actually makes some pretty awesome game music. But yeah, those are two slices of AI that I'm using every day, and my company as well.
Yeah. So for us, I think as part of occupational hazard, we test out almost every single new AI product that comes out, whether they're in audio, they're images, and video, quite extensively. And then we try to see how it can fit within the framework we're building. For me, I think our friend from Virtual Protocol just now mentioned Perplexity. That's definitely one of my own personal favorites. In fact, we built a lot of features for that because the sourcing citations and references of the answers that AI generates sometimes is a black box. So we love that. We built we were very inspired by that, and we built that into our RAG platform. I guess a lot of what we have been trying to do recently is after we go try out the latest AI apps, we try to see whether we can integrate it into workflow. So a lot of our experimentation is less about the apps themselves, but about how, let's say, for example, you wanted to make a workflow that makes a character consistent image generation, right? So how do you do that in different settings? How do you do that using different models? We try to use mostly open source models on our end. So it's a lot of experimentation. It's very fun. I think for writing, I think most people would be remiss if they didn't use any of the AI tools out there now. Uh, we are philosophically opposed to everything that OpenAI does. We try not to use those. We use a lot of Claude and all that. And yeah, we've been playing around with Suno. There's a Studio. I think Studio came out earlier, which was quite freaky. When I first tested it, I was like, shit, this maybe the Justin Bieber's of the next. Justin Bieber came to fame recording videos in his bedroom, right? I was like, oh man, this thing's really going to change the next generation of entertainers and I guess entertainment content creators of the future. So yeah, for us, is we use everything. Yeah, thanks.
That's super interesting about the Suno AI that both of you mentioned that because I know we've recognized this, but it just blows my mind that I don't know if anybody was thinking about AI maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago when it started, like the rumblings of, oh, AI is going to change the world, but we hadn't seen ChatGPT. And it's like how the conversation I remember distinctly having was that, oh, you know what? It will never touch art because art is so human and so creative that AI could never touch art. So we've always got that as like a last defense mechanism. But it's always just repeatedly blows my mind how actually the first thing that actually we use AI for so much that's vividly useful for people on an everyday basis is the artistic side. So I'm also mind blown, but also not surprised that Suno.ai has this generative music and can learn vibes and emulate artists at such a high quality level. I know we're going off on tangent, but Kip Protocol, I wanted to just touch on something you mentioned, which I found interesting, which was the fact that you said you guys are philosophically opposed to OpenAI. And I think, is that touching on the fact that you have a decentralized model? And do you want to just touch a little bit more upon that and what that means?
Sure, very happy to. How much time do you have? Yeah, I'm kidding. We don't really do decentralized models ourselves, although the early iterations of our team started off in. My partner was one of the early ones who were playing around machine learning algorithms, training our models, doing coding, doing math, doing even before I would say just at the cusp of this current boom of transformer based models. But the philosophical objection is really that I guess in two ways. One, hypocrisy of how the models, the giant models, have been built. Okay, and in which is basically all trained on all our collective knowledge as represented by whatever has been published on the internet. You mentioned just now that, and I agree that we are all blown away by how quick generative AI models can produce stuff that we thought previously it's the realm of the human soul, right? But actually, whatever has been produced by artists has been represented either by letters or tokens or pixels on the on in digital art, in represented in the digital format, and that can be learned, and that represents all of our collective knowledge, all creativity, and being used to train the models and then package it to one and sold back to us at $20 a month. I think the early interviews of Sam Altman before I think it got really high profile. And he never denied taking all the content, right? His position always has been that I don't deny I took them. I think I have a right to take them, but if you disagree, sue us. Yeah, just sue me. It's fine. I'll fight it out. I have money. But recently, I think a lot of these executives, when quizzed on the same subject, I think they've been better coached by the PR departments to just don't say anything and look stupid and guilty and try not to look too guilty while looking at the camera, right? So that's basically been their MO, and that continues to be their MO. The other part is how we think, okay, that what the goal is. The goal of OpenAI is, he said as much, to create AGI, which will be the greatest human achievement. How I understand it or how I express it is he wants to be the number one human. That's the future he's going for. The number one human under a robot overlord, an AI overlord, and he'll be happy with that. That's not the future that I want or what my team and I are working towards. So yeah, philosophically opposed to how they did it and what they're doing it for. Yeah. So I wouldn't call it a passive aggressive move, but yeah, we try our best to not use their products, even though yeah, their products may be good. But we want to encourage innovation at all parts of the AI industry, all parts of the AI ecosystem. Yeah.
We all know that there's a lot of, I guess, pitfalls in the future of AI. So I think it's important for everyone to build their own things that can balance out any one particular company having superpower over the AI. So yeah.
So just to add on, just small point of this is they already have extraordinary market power as it is now. I think they don't need more. So yeah, in terms of regulatory capture, in terms of the capital attraction, income, in terms of obviously the resources that he has at his disposal, right? He already has very close to monopoly power. It might not seem like that, but yeah, we shall see. Yeah. But we'll continue working for the opposition and helping everyone else. Yes.
Yeah, let's hope that we get definitely a decentralized AI moving forwards. Okay, so bringing me on to my second fun question before we get into the deep depths of AI questions is I know that sometimes we talk about AI as the next big catalyst to bull run, blow off top, big upward momentum. But a spicy question I want to ask the people of the panel today: do we think that we're going to see a dot-com style bubble and crash, or do you think this time is different, dare I say?
Okay, I think I can take a jab at that, right? I think anything speculative and early, there's always going to be a boom and bust. But I think out of every bust, you will see the guys that truly build something resilient come out of it. It's the same thing like the tech boom, right? In the 2000s, everything was flying, then everything was dying, and then out of it came out the Amazons, the net spaces, like all the giants that we know today. Yeah, I think that would basically happen. I think it's inevitable ahead of any kind of a technological curve.
Can share my perspective here. I think we'll see obviously a big burst. I think there are a few things that are happening. Probably all of us have seen I think the Goldman Sachs report, right? Talking about how the ROI is not clear, and there's a lot to say about this report. But people they're emotional, right? So it's not so much is that true, is that not true, whatever. You can feel that there's already about a lot of people backtracking, a lot of companies backtracking from their plans around AI. And that's definitely going to contribute to a few things. But I think the biggest one is that if out of any kind of technology shift I've ever witnessed or been part of, I've never seen something that destroys business as quickly as this one does. So if there is a bubble, and I'll explain what I mean by that. If there is a bubble bursting, I feel like it will come from the next generation of foundation models, because essentially every time OpenAI or other major foundation models are pushing a new update, it essentially destroys tons of businesses that are essentially thin wrappers that are like working around the limitations of the current model extra, and they're just like going bust like overnight. Right? And I think this is incredible. And what accelerates that is the fact that it's fast and so easy to build something, which is great, right? It's actually a great thing that we can build so fast using AI, but it also comes at a cost, which is can be obliterated very quickly. And so I think if the burst is coming from somewhere, I think it's actually going to come from really from inside and from the next generation of models that we just don't know what they're made of exactly, and we're going to have very big surprises. So yeah, that's my take. I think there will be we're in the middle of the bubble right now, and I think it's going to burst.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what Ben said, I'd like to think of myself as a techno optimist, right? So I'm gonna go for the. Whenever I look at your questions, what I'd like to talk about are like, what are the pros in how maybe this time it's a little bit different than the dot-com bubble of '99 and early 2000s, right? One thing that aligns pretty directly with what Ben just said is AI is so innovative that it is constantly in competition with itself. When ChatGPT 4 and ChatGPT 4 Omni came out, and Claude 3 and all these competitive models came out, a lot of AI wrapper companies just got destroyed because the newer models could just do what these AI wrapper companies were trying to solve to do. And I think that creative destruction is actually healthy. That may, Kip was alluding to, lead to a polarity between who has dominant market control. But overall, I think that this bubble that bursts and like rips down the economy is, I think, at least a little bit inhibited based on this creative destruction and true meritocratic competition that's happening with AI. The second thing that has me a little bit more optimistic that this isn't going to be like a Y2K like bubble bursting event is where the capital is actually flowing to. And I'm honestly pretty young, but as I can recall, whenever this did happen, almost all of the bubble bursting happened on the NASDAQ. Like it was public companies that were IPOing. There was a ton of websites that basically .com companies that went public, and that access to private capital and everything that you can do as a public company and all of the speculation that anyone in the world was able to put into these stocks because the New York Stock Exchange is available to everyone and is a lot more accessible, allowed that bubble to burst as hard as it did. A lot of the AI money that's flowing in is happening, whether people like to admit it or not, privately. So VC rounds are getting overinflated. A rounds, B rounds, and C rounds are getting as big as we've ever seen it. But because private capital is where most of the bubble is forming, that probably means whenever these companies do go public, they're going to be marked to market and probably suffer a huge decrease in valuation, thus making the market more stable and not having this huge economic global financial crisis event. So I'm actually optimistic on things. And I think just the nature of AI is actually an inhibitor towards this like market crash that people may be expecting.
Hey, if I might quickly add, I got a feeling that one of the underlying points here is actually whether the unit economics or the economics of the businesses make sense. If you look at today, right, tech companies can grow more steadily because their unit economics make sense. I think if you look at every single AI company across the world today, I don't think any of them have solid unit economics. Check, OpenAI has released their information and news, right? These guys are burning 5 billion in the hole purely on inferencing and training, and it's not covered by the revenues they're taking in. So it's just a giant in the room, right? As long as unit economics are not positive, you can actually never make a sustainable business out of it, right? Everything is just then who's the greatest fool. So until the unit economics can catch up and become positive, I think that's where you start seeing more sustainable growth.
I agree and disagree with that, but because I think the unique economics is a factor of how Silicon Valley or how the tech industry has organized itself in terms of how the capital flow has organized around flowing through the VCs and how what the VCs want to see, and the unit economics always catches up. But when you get sufficient market share based on some magical number that nobody knows and nobody can calculate. But I think the bubble that exists now, definitely there is one. In when we are talking about bubble, I think we are mostly talking about the financial bubble, right? The financial aspects of this industry getting so much capital. But I think also, as you alluded to just now, the tech continues to improve. There's competition. There's very healthy, very intense competition within the AI industry itself, and the better ones will win and win out. And all the better ones at convincing their VCs to keep pumping in money will win, okay, or will survive at the very least. And a lot of bubbles in all the asset classes now are just a matter of so much money in the last printed in the last 10 years, right? So we are in the bubble now in terms of, I think, on probably on the financial aspects of all things AI, simply because the VCs also like to chase next new shiny new idea. But the tech continues, right? The innovation continues. The competition is ever constant, and yeah, this is not going away.
On that note, I want to bring it back to talking about actually what we're here for is the intersection of AI and gaming. I want to bring the first actual official question of this space is what are the actual main benefits of AI implementation in gaming experiences for gamers? I'm going to throw it out there.
Yeah, I can take this one. So I actually think it's going to be an indirect benefit for gamers, mainly from the development cycle itself. There was news yesterday, I think, where Activision apparently used AI generated skins in Modern Warfare 3 and actually sold those in their marketplace. And this was coming off of news that recently that they had massive layoffs there. So you're going to see a trend likely where gaming studios are going to use AI tools and assets to expedite the development timeline, which then might get games in the hands of gamers faster than the typical development cycle. And I think that's going to be the most direct benefit we're going to see soon, at least from a traditional gaming perspective.
To add from the gamer perspective, so there's one part which is productivity, like you mentioned, right? But I think there's also a potential opportunity from a gamer experience front. So I used to bring up this analogy, like how if we folks when we play Elden Ring or Cyberpunk or Skyrim, right? There was a time where our options are fucking limited. You go up to this NPC and then he's, hey, blah blah blah, as part of this quest, you can do three things, right? Hey, you can take you can take this knife, you can throw it away, you can take it and stab me, you can take it and put it in your pocket. Right? It's very restrictive. It takes a developer years to build up the storyline across the entire game. But one thing we started to realize is, hey, there's this onset of emergent gaming that can actually come to gamers today with generative AI. I.e., when I go up to this NPC, I can actually talk politics to it, fuck it, right? Or I can say, fuck you, I don't use a knife, I take my worn out leather slippers and smack your face with it, right? What the fuck are you gonna do? Now, because it's generative, the resultant action, it's going to be very dynamic. It's going to be something that is not scripted. And now you take that, you multiply that across a chain of multiple other NPCs living in this world, in this setting, you get this kind of ripple and butterfly effect where every single experience experienced by a gamer, it's actually not the same. And this is where the emergent portion comes up. So I think that's a very interesting new boundaries or new unlock that we can potentially bring to games with generative AI.
I actually expand upon that. An experience I've seen, and again, I've had a chance to try out a lot of new games coming to market, is not just making it custom, but giving users control. Like I've played games where you can be like, hey, I want to be in this environment. I want to have this objective. So alongside being able to make custom tailored experiences, have the user actually either design experiences or games, or even take total control. So I think that's a very unique application that we'll start to see more and more of in the future.
Yeah, I actually think that it's really cool how you can have tools that can actually leverage, but it's also so easy for the end user to leverage, or you can give the opportunity to use these tools to the end user because it doesn't require technical knowledge. It's one of these advanced technologies that goes straight to the user right at the beginning, which I think is a really compelling reason why why OpenAI, for example, had a billion users so quickly. So moving on, if this is all happening right now, I'm curious to understand a little bit about how you see AI gaming developing in the next 5 years. So we've already got things like NPCs, advanced NPCs, but what do we see in the next 5 years with we're seeing?
From a gamer perspective, the one thing I've seen studios talk about more openly, especially in the Web3 space, is the amount of development time that you can shave off. I think the core thing that's important to games is the mechanics, but from there, to keep people engaged is to create more content. And I've heard of card games being like having to take weeks on end to make new cards and expansion sets, to using AI to make the art in it and to cut that down into a weekend. So there's a lot of applications, I think, with the current workflows that I think games will use to cut down on time to create more content. And then we'll see more advanced models and implications down the line in the future.
I completely agree with this. I feel this is like a first step on the content side, shortening the time that it takes to be made. And I think down the line, what we're going to see a lot is not just more content, but very personal experiences, either because we can create content ourselves as players, or because the content that is being served to us is very unique, like almost completely unique to us and our experience. And I think on the back of that, what we will see, which will be probably very novel, is I think very deep relationships that players will build with their experience in regards to a particular game or even an ecosystem. And that will take different shapes and forms. And of course, like the first one that we think about is an agent that you can talk to and that can come with you like a companion, right? Like a site across multiple games and can be part of your experience. And I think it will go way deeper than that, right? But yeah, I think completely new relationships with games. I think this is what we're going to see in the next 5 years outside of the pure technological.
Yeah, I was just gonna add to what Ben was saying, where essentially, yeah, this is essentially my biggest wish list for AI in gaming, where I'm a big story-driven gamer, and I love like single player like atmospheres that really draw you in, thinking like God of War and things of those nature. But imagine a evolution of AI in gaming where that storytelling prowess that we're all proud of for those gaming studios is driven by AI itself, and then each player's experience, like Ben mentioned, is completely separate, but in still this engaging narrative across the whole gaming experience. So it's not just an interaction with one or two NPCs, but the entire story arc driven by AI development.
I want to chime in very quickly on this feature, not built by Kip, but by one of our very close partners, Momate, which they built and they launched for beta a downloadable AI companion, which goes onto your desktop. How it manifests itself is as basically your anime waifu in the bottom right of your screen. So it's on your computer. The AI reads your screen. Okay, it sounds creepy, but everything's happening only on your computer. So it knows you're playing a game. And while you're playing the game, your girlfriend, your AI waifu girlfriend is egging you on, telling you, giving you advice on what weapons would be good for your role, telling you that, oh no, there's this guy hiding in the bushes, or no, that they just saw. And it was early beta, and I think TechCrunch covered it last year already, but it was, when I saw the demo, was so immersive. The game itself, right? But it's like when you're immersed playing the game, and you have your girlfriend speaking to you in your headphones, telling you, talking you through the game. Essentially, the girlfriend that doesn't exist in real life, right? Encouraging you to play the game and being there with you every step of the way. When I saw that, I was like, oh shit, this is really immersive stuff. And yeah, maybe besides the game, the periphery, the experience of playing the game itself will also be enhanced by AI.
Yeah, so I can go next. And effectively, the question was 1 to 5 year timeline, how can AI impact the gaming industry? Just earlier this week, I believe it was Tuesday, GameGPT shared our short term thesis on where gaming is going, as well as the long term thesis on where it's going. And I think that the long term thesis effectively is, I think, more interesting to talk about because the long term has been touched on a little bit by some panelists already. In general, the way that we're seeing it is, I think, that the future 1 to 5 years is going to incorporate AI a lot, but AI is going to be one of a host of other contributing factors that's going to push the industry in a certain direction. And I believe that direction is that indie development game companies are going to be on the rise. The gamers and the population, like all around the world, are going to be more accepting of indie games. And the very high budget AAA game studios that take, I don't know, 5 to 10 years to build a game, I think are not necessarily going to be in free fall. but are going to have a death of a thousand cuts effectively. The supporting evidence that I've seen that really has me hopeful for Web3 and where it joins the Web2 industry are some game titles that are effectively built by really small teams that do really awesome numbers. The first things that come to my mind are an awesome kind of revolutionary FPS game called Bodycam. It was actually really cool. It's a first person shooter that has this really interesting camera angle where you're playing on a body cam that's effectively on your upper chest, and made by two brothers. I believe it was a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old, both brothers from France, made over a couple of years in Unreal Engine 5. And it's done amazing numbers from the last 3 to 6 months that it's been out, based on how much impact this game has had, as well as the other games. Like, I'm sure earlier this year, everyone's heard about Power Worlds, the $6.7 million budget that a game like that has made, and the true numbers that it's done, like over $200 million just on Steam. The sheer efficiency on the energy that's being put in and the value that gamers all around the world are finding into these indie game companies. And the list can go on, whether it's Helldivers, whether it's Hades, whether it's Valheim, a ton of these things I think are pushing us towards that direction. On the other end, we have, I think, gaming studios that are effectively building over budget games that nobody asked for. Immediately where my head goes to is Activision and Call of Duty making, I think they just came out with or are about to come out with Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So it's like the sixth iteration of effectively the same Call of Duty game. People are still buying it, so I understand based on their profit incentives, they're going to make another. But I think what I'm seeing is that the community and what new gamers that are coming into the market are actually wanting are a uniqueness, a novelty in gaming that indie developers, I think, are going to have a better case to do. But indie developers powered by AI are going to do in a way that no one has ever thought before. I think AI is going to be one of the many things that push us in this direction that I'm really excited for. And take that and clash it with another exponential technology like blockchain, and we really have something coming. That's our thesis, and that's why we're positioned the way we are. As a startup, your goal is to build a company for the future and then have society meet you there. And that's what I think GameGPT and like this flavor of the month TikToking of video game creation is what's really going to be the future of gaming. These like over budget, very linear, amazing experiences graphically that no one may have asked for, but based on what your company is, you may be expected to do, is, I think, not going to be something that we're looking at 5 to 10 years from now. But yeah, that's my opinion there. I would love to see if anyone agrees or disagrees, but that's pretty much what we've been hoping for and planning for.
If I can bring that thought further, we had this thinking where in the next 5 years, you might actually see the expiration of Unreal Engine and Unity. Now, hear me out. What if I told you there'll be a day where game developers no longer need any form of game engine to build a game, like at all? And it potentially can happen if there's a video model large enough that has captured every physics interaction and every form of stylistic environment. And if you think about it, every game is effectively just a video interface between a gamer and a computer or a screen. And if you can actually link two video generated outputs together, showing the same setting but to different players, you effectively can mimic a multiplayer game environment running off a video generation engine. I know today we are nowhere near that because of the latency and the size of the models are not trained well enough. But if that future exists where the physics are captured by the video gen and the settings are captured by the video gen, you theoretically no longer need game engines to generate your worlds or your games. Just a thought out there.
Actually, I want to add something on this. I think you're entirely right, and I think that NVIDIA is working actively on this. We're very close to having models that are real time. The graphic card, the RTX technology is precisely that, right? The interpolation between the frames, the upscaling that happens real time. This is all based on neural networks that have been trained on game content, and the obvious logical next step, and they have alluded to that, is essentially a render engine that is based on a video model. So yeah, absolutely agree with what you just said.
Awesome takes all around. I'm going to pivot and talk a little bit about gaming cultures just before we close out this space. We're coming up to an hour. Thank you so much to everyone who has inputted and provided some really great context. I wanted to ask this question to Spike, actually, because we've talked a lot about the future of AI and how it's going to impact businesses and gaming experiences. But the one thing that we do best in Web3 is communities. And I wanted to hear a little bit about how we are growing gaming cultures and communities in Web3 with AI, and if there's anything that you've seen that really made an impact on that with the sort of AI movement.
This is a really good question. I'd actually need more time to ponder on it, but the immediate things that come to mind, one being my application of AI with community, and the second just like an idea I came up listening to all these gigabrains talk about AI. The first being my profile picture. It's something that's a mix between AI and Photoshop. We have a custom artist that has been creating these PFPs that resemble our community, that symbolize adventure and exploration. The second being like, I just thought of the craziest idea. There's a process where you would ask people to get feedback rather than just sending a form. Imagine an AI model like talking to your community and saying, hey, how did you feel about our events this month or these experiences? And then have it come back and shoot out like, hey, this is what your community wants you to do. So again, I don't have the best answer to your direct question, but just some ways I think AI has been implemented or could be implemented that would be very interesting.
No, I think that's a really good insight, actually, because community management, somebody who works quite closely with the community, I think it is a really tough nut to crack. There's so many things that you have to think about when it comes to community. And I think with AI, there's just like the potential to impact almost every aspect of business and life. And even like the ability to manage your community better and get that live feedback is so important. And at the end of the day, like we just only have 24 hours in a day. So AI being able to support with that would be like hugely beneficial. I'm going to be very respectful of people's time. We are coming up to the hour, and I'm going to just give everyone a chance to close out the space. But first of all, I'd like to sort of go to Ben and be like, hey, let's talk about what is coming up for Goat Gaming before we end this space. Ben?
All right, I'll keep it short. So we have a mint coming up for a PFP collection called Genesis Goat. It's a premier collection in the ecosystem. Holders will have first access to pretty much everything, rewards, multipliers, and of course, Goat is a key ingredient of that. I won't share too much on this. We are going to make announcements on Twitter, sorry, X, I should say, on X very soon. Just keep an eye on our socials, and yeah, this is going to be super exciting.
Yes, thank you so much. And of course, on our website, goatgaming.com, you can find all the information that we currently are sharing on the Mint. So please do share that there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. I found it personally very insightful to hear all the different takes that we have. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share? I'll start with GameGPT.
Sure. Just would like to say thanks for having me on. Met and was able to have a great discussion with a lot of new people today. Appreciate that. Thanks for the invitation, Becca. Really thanks for that. Us at GameGPT, we have huge plans for this summer. We have a lot of things that we're launching, whether it be our mobile app or the Creators Program Season 0, where we're taking 3 people in our community and actually building their game and launching it in our arcade. There are a lot of things that people can do and a lot of things that people can sign up for to get and benefit from all of the things coming very soon. If you'd like to do that, just go ahead and check out our Twitter and look at the pinned post as well as our timeline, and I'm sure you'll be able to find everything.
Big up GameGPT. Thank you so much for the insightful information about what's coming up in your ecosystem. Kip Protocol, what is the alpha with you guys?
Yes, thanks so much for having us on this space. I really learned a lot. I think I was copying down, noting down a lot of the ideas from just now. So we are focusing on two main pillars at KIP. Okay, basically bring about more decentralized AI apps in first education and secondly entertainment. I would love it if the panelists on the space or the companies represented in this space want to reach out, start to have some conversations about whether there are any ways we can work together, whether as any parts of our tech that could be useful for anyone developing a game or anything in entertainment, and also anyone listening in. So we plan to our education platforms are all we started first on that, and now we are putting more attention on entertainment. So yes, I guess the time for us to all be working together for us is now. Thank you.
100%. And thank you so much, Ether Mage, for joining us today too. What can we expect and Virtuals Protocol coming up in the near future.
Thanks, Good Gaming. Honestly, I'll be there to sweep your floor as well. So looking forward to the mint. And I think for us, something really exciting is happening. We are launching our alpha version of our simulation world next week. Think of this place as a location of where all our AI agents live in. But what's more exciting is that there's things you can actually interact with them. You can create your own agents, and each of these agents can do a few things, right? They have their own objectives. They can interact with the environment, remember conversations, take actions based on those conversations and memories towards a certain objective. So you can truly experience what a gaming AI agent can be in this basically web app that we're creating. Stay tuned and follow our Twitter. It's going live next week. Alpha version. The beta for more public access is coming out 2 weeks after. So it's going to be very exciting, especially for you guys who want to see where are we at in terms of the frontier of AI agents and NPCs. So yeah, looking forward to see you folks there.
Thank you so much, Ether Mage. Chronicle from Neo Tokyo, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to chat with you. Anything that you want to share with us before we close out the space?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Yeah, to keep up to date with Neo Tokyo, just follow our main account, Neo Tokyo Code, that you see here up on the stage. We have a few cool activations coming up, including some IRL events and our 3-year anniversary, and then something that you may not want to miss later this quarter. And I'll just leave it at that.
Better be following Neo Tokyo Code. And last but absolutely not least, our ambassador, Spike. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really loved hearing all your takes. Any last things that you'd like to share with the audience today?
Oh, the pleasure was all mine. The only thing I have to say is, guys, you need to go play Mighty Action Hero. You got to hit up the road to go. They have an amazing portal for you to do a bunch of quests, explore all their game experiences, earn some cool points and rewards. So go and do that. I know you're going to be bored this weekend. CT's down. Everyone's hanging out with family. Go tell your friends about Mighty Action Hero and Go Gaming, and see you in the next one.
That is very good to say. Yes, I'm glad you guys all enjoy Mighty Action Heroes at wayfinders.gg. Great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I think it's been a very fruitful conversation. Please do go follow these amazing gigabrained people on the panel. We've got Kit Protocol, Neo Tokyo, Chronicle, Ether Mage, Virtuals Protocol, GameGPT, and Spike. We've had some really great takes today. Please, and also retweet and like the space so that we can share this amazing alpha that we've had on this space. And well, have a lovely Friday, whatever time it is for you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.